Welcome back to the fourth edition of our Agents of Change series, where we're collaborating with top executives from the UK's most prominent and innovative brands to explore the most pressing challenges business leaders are facing today. Today, we're diving into the future of work with an exploration of how jobs, the workforce, and workplaces are set to evolve in the years to come. We'll unpack the most significant opportunities to leverage AI, automation, hybrid working, and culture to create meaningful, lasting impact on both your people and processes. And to help me do just that, I'm thrilled to welcome Heidi O'Leary, partner at Deloitte Digital, to the set. Welcome, Heidi. Really good to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about Deloitte in general and Deloitte Digital, where that fits in?
Yeah, so Deloitte is a huge global professional services firm. So we serve our clients around tax, audit, legal, financial advisory, M&A, sustainability. And then we have a business called Technology and Transformation. And I'm part of that business. And part of that business is Deloitte Digital as well. So Deloitte Digital, we mainly focus on helping our clients transform through the power of digital, but taking a very customer-centric lens and human-centered lens to that transformation. And the area that I particularly focus on is customer service, which is really being disrupted by the AI that's happening around
absolutely.
us. So I'm looking after that part of, and working closely with Salesforce as well on the agent force.
Absolutely. Give us a flavour of what kind of the main challenges can be with your customers, specifically regarding customer service, that they come to you for help.
Yeah. Well, customer service, there's been through the cost of living crisis, most organizations have had to cut budgets, yet customers and consumers have been asking for more from service. So there's been more volume of contacts because they're having challenges in their lives. They're more likely to complain, which is putting pressure on the organization. And also the workforce in customer service, it's been really hard to retain people. And we've seen quite a lot of burnout. So there's been sort of multiple pressures on customer service leaders to do better and do more with less. So now with AI, there's a big opportunity to leverage that technology to alleviate some of those pressures. So that's kind of a hot topic that we're working with our clients right now.
Brilliant. And I want to come back to that and hear a bit more of those pressures. Let me start with a little leveler on the current world of work. While the trend in working only from home has fallen since the pandemic, we're now sort of into a hybrid model, which has become a new normal for most people. What type of working patterns do you see at Deloitte Digital, and what are you seeing with your clients?
Yeah, so we're definitely in a hybrid world. I think considering the nature of our business, where we are working shoulder to shoulder with our clients, it's never been a case of our offices versus home. It's always been mostly we want to spend our time at our clients' offices or sites, wherever they are. So it's always been a bit of a hybrid for us anyway. At the moment, I think we're seeing most of our clients and our workforce spending maybe half-half, like a couple of days at home and then a couple of days out in the field, whether that's customer offices or our offices or even partner offices. And I think generally it seems like people are bookending the week, so maybe Mondays and Fridays from home and like trying to spend the rest of that time in the market. So I think it's a hybrid world. We've actually, as a business, really consciously taken the decision to not mandate the return to offices, which is something some of our competitors have done. And there's pros and cons to that. We've seen through the surveys that we do regularly with our workforce that they really love the fact that we've retained flexible working policy, and it's a differentiator for us. On the other hand, we're also seeing that it is a lot harder to onboard people to the business, and we've had a lot of people join since the pandemic.
Especially the younger generation who want to learn from people around them.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like also onboarding, but learning the ropes from people around you, which has always been the kind of career path. That development is a lot harder if you're in more remote situations. So we're really putting some accountability also on our people to grow the talent and sort of helping them find out that the best way to do that is often to have some moments together to be able to do that coaching and learning. But it's definitely like a conscious effort that you have to put in.
Yeah, and actually that leads me to my next question, which is, how do you maintain that connectivity and that culture when you have people on site, on client sites, people working from home? It's quite difficult.
It's really difficult. I think considering we have been a global firm working with global clients, global projects for quite some time. It's not a completely new world. We've had people working with across the world or across time zones using delivery centers in offshore locations. So it's not completely new. When it comes to more broadly communities of practice, we've been, again, really intentional. For example, Deloitte Digital, we have offices all around the UK. So we are already sort of a community that is in different locations. But when we get together, for example, for our monthly town halls, we get the people in the studios or the hubs together, and then we connect those hubs remotely. And I think you need to be a bit more considerate how you design those meetings. I was just talking to one of our people leaders yesterday, and she said we have to work harder to make the agendas even more interesting than before. And the way we communicate about these events, we have to almost like channel our inner marketeer and to make it really interesting and inspiring for people to come.
Yeah.
So we have to work a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But I think when we do see that benefits the workforce and the community.
Yeah. It's interesting. There was a recent research report commissioned by Slack where workers said a third of their time is spent on low-value tasks. This might relate to exactly customer services, contributing to a high burnout rate of 64%. So what can leaders do to alleviate these issues? And maybe we can focus it on customer services since that's your area.
Yeah, I think in customer service, but I think it's also all knowledge workers. We're seeing these patterns, which is really worrying. And in my own roles also as a people leader, I've seen increased rates of burnout. And I think the reason for that is when we went through the pandemic, we had to put a lot of effort into keeping everyone connected because we weren't together anymore. So I think we saw this proliferation of communication channels and information digests and more leadership meetings and more town halls. And it was just like more information coming at you. And I think we've sort of got into this world where we think we have to keep up with everything. We have to keep up with the information overload, which I think is sort of which is impossible. So I think we've sort of created this expectation that somehow we need to keep up with that. And I think the other reason is, if we think about the modern work now, what we've ended up doing through the COVID era is we've got our days filled with Zoom calls and team calls, and we've ended up filling the day from the moment we get up to the end. And I think there's an illusion of productivity when we're like in back-to-back meetings and we're doing so much. But I don't actually think that that's productive at all.
Most 30-minute Zoom calls are not productive.
Yeah,
they could be 15, I think, as most people know who are on those calls.
Yeah, and I think if we start thinking about, like I was thinking, if I was an alien and I landed here and looked at what do we do, we've got this metal machine that we punch and talk to. Like, it's actually not innately human. We are not. We've almost become machines, yet we should be using machines to help us be more human.
Well, let's talk about that a bit. The same research found that 80% of desk workers who have used AI tools reported improved productivity. So who should be in charge of rolling out adoption of this technology to help teams harness this?
Yeah. This technology is so disruptive. I don't think there is a single leader, a single function or department that can be responsible. We need everyone contributing. It's clear that IT needs to be there to source and provide the tools for us to be able to use this technology. But equally, we need the data and analytics officers and teams to make sure that we are harnessing the data from the organization and keeping it safe, reliable, non-biased, secure for our teams to use. And then we also need risk involved because we know that there are risks. So they need to make sure that we're doing it in a safe way for our employees, for our customers, our stakeholders. And then we also need business to make sure that we are really addressing the most valuable use cases where we're making an investment in this technology. We need to make sure that we're getting the return for it. So they need to help us understand which are the use cases for the technology that is going to reap the best benefit. But maybe the most important thing that we need to be doing is all people leaders, together with our HR and talent leaders, need to really think about what is the impact on the workforce on a more longer term basis, not just how do we skill people to use this technology, but how is our workforce changing? What are the new roles and what is AI going to take over in the longer run? We need to start imagining that and then thinking about how do we maybe create new career paths and new role opportunities for our human workforce, because some work will be automated by AI.
And it does feel like there is a lot of lip service paid to this, but it's not yet really being done because we're all still grappling with what AI might be able to do for us, right?
Yeah. Again, like going back to the service domain, actually, what I've been actually quite encouraged by is we have seen that the productivity benefits that you can get from AI in customer service, like it's quicker to respond to customers' queries, and some of the customer service agents, they normally type up call summary notes at the end of the call. That's all automated now, so we're getting productivity and efficiency benefits. However, there's quite a few positive signals that companies are not using that to lay off workers. They're rethinking what could those workers do with this saved time to add more value to the business and more creative work. We've seen examples. There's actually a study that Deloitte did looking at leaders across the world and asking them about the top AI benefits. And we looked at how many said that it was beneficial to lay off workers versus redirect workers to more creative tasks. UK was one of the leaders in rethinking more creative work than eliminating jobs. I find that really encouraging. And also we've seen some examples from the market of companies doing just that. They're rethinking what are the new skills. Some customer service agents have gone to become conversational designers. Some have gone to learn prompt engineering. So I think there's opportunities as well as some of the risks that we're seeing in the market.
Yeah, that's good to hear that that's happening. And let's just talk about this new wave of agentic AI, which promises a workforce powered by digital labour without limits. There is naturally a little fear or cautiousness in the market on job security. What's your view on that? And how are you using it at Deloitte?
Well, I think on the job security, it's understandable, and it's actually not even a new thing. We've seen this with previous technologies. The World Economic Forum last year estimated that 85 million jobs would be displaced by automation. But they also estimated that 97 million new jobs would be created. So there's a delta there. So I think we have opportunities to create new jobs and new roles, but it does require effort and rethinking. At Deloitte, we got into AI quite early, actually. We set up already before the launch of ChatGPT to the public. We launched our AI Institute back in 2020. So we've been doing a lot of research and publishing knowledge around this topic for quite some time. Internally, we've built 2 tools for our workforce, and they are really trying to make it easier for our workforce to harness the full knowledge of all of Deloitte. We've got a huge workforce across the globe where we're constantly serving our clients and trying to make connections across the globe. Who has done this? Where's the base case study for that? So we've now got 2 Gen AI powered tools that help us conversationally explore all of the knowledge of the firm. And it's really speeding up some of the discovery of where's the best case study for this, or who's the expert in the firm on this particular topic.
Yeah, because you would think companies that are suggesting AI tools to customers should first and foremost be using it internally, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And what about agentic AI? How are you seeing the rise of that?
Well, I think we are seeing the technology firms really leading on this. There's been lots of announcements, including Salesforce leading on Agentforce from September. So I think there's lots of excitement in the market around that. But there's a little bit of hesitation on how fast to go. I think on agentic AI, we are seeing that work in general is going to get automated. So we will see this workforce of AI agent in the front office, in the back office, in the workflows, taking over tasks gradually more and more. And I think while the wave is coming with the technology, there is a lot that enterprises need to think about as they prepare for that. We've seen lots of pilots and experiments, lots of learning in the market, not as much scaling yet. So I think that there are some reasons for why companies aren't scaling as fast.
Actually, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Why do you think companies are not scaling it so fast? What are you seeing with your clients?
So we do this state of generative AI in the enterprise research every quarter to keep a pulse on what's happening with Gen AI in the enterprise. And the last research report from August this year showed us that 70% of the companies that responded had moved less than a third of their AI experiments into production at scale. So lots of experiments, not so much scaling. There were four main reasons what's sort of holding companies back. One is still it's not so clear to prove out the value case. I think it's because we've rushed into experimenting with AI. We've sometimes not really deliberately, consciously thought through what is the value case, what are the KPIs to measure that value. And so we've sort of trying to then now go backwards and trying to prove the value. So that's one thing that we're still working through, and I think companies are finding challenging. Another one is the risk appetite. 23% of the companies that responded felt like they were fully ready from a risk perspective. That's a pretty low number. And another one is 73%, I think 72% said they did not quite know what the impact was on their workforce, which was holding them back. And then the final one, which is not surprising, was around data and data readiness, because that's the thing that powers AI. And if your data isn't ready, it limits the number of use cases you can put.
Yeah, and many companies are not data ready because
Yeah.
this wave of AI has been unleashed quite recently. And to your point on speed, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the internet started 30 years ago and look where we are now.
Yeah.
And then we want AI to happen yesterday. And it's only just, I mean, not as in, the AI from the 1950s, that the Gen AI and the Agentic AI, and we want results now. But it can't really possibly be that quick. So I think businesses are quite impatient to have results from AI, but we need to, like you say, step back
That's
and just
right.
analyze what's going on.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like there's this thinking fast and slow. I feel like it's sort of moving fast, but being really quite deliberate about some of the foundations that we need to build, because we can experiment at speed, but we can't scale if we don't have the right foundations in place. So we need to be doing those things in parallel.
Yeah, absolutely. Where have you seen the biggest AI wins at Deloitte or your clients?
Well, I think, like I said, some of the tools we've put into our own workforce have been really helpful, and have made our workforce more effective. But on the client side, we've been working with clients across sectors and helping, for example, a biotech company to create an AI engine that helps them speed up drug discovery and development, which I find a really exciting area for AI. We've also been working with a major insurance company to put conversational AI into roadside assistance when your car breaks down, and it's really helped you get support faster, and it's actually resulted in better customer satisfaction scores, which can be surprising in some respects. And that's gone at scale. It's in 16 countries and multiple languages. And then we've also been working in the customer service domain a lot with Salesforce, actually, to put in some of the new technology from Salesforce into case summarization and being able to respond to those customer queries faster. And we've seen some really dramatic productivity benefits.
So those are measurable. So for those companies who are saying, okay, what's the return?
Yes.
There is measurable return.
Yes, definitely. It helps you respond faster to the customer queries. It helps you do higher volume of cases. And then with that time saving that you get, you can direct it to new value-adding tasks. So I think, yes, you can measure. I think in customer service, we're probably more mature in understanding the benefits, because it's been one of the areas that's been seen as a really ripe for AI-led transformation for quite some time now.
So what advice would you give to leaders who are watching to help them prepare for this future of work that we're entering?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, I think we need to think about moving at speed to help the organization learn about this new technology. So it's important to experiment and pilot and build proof of concepts. But in parallel with those, it's really important to take a strategic view of how do we envisage this technology is going to transform our business. And that's to do with What is the new operating model that we might need for service when X% of our work will be done by AI agents and Y% will be human agents? Actually, what are the roles and jobs and tasks that both of these workforces will be doing? What does that mean for new capabilities and skills that we need to train? We need to do that in every domain of the business because it's impacting everywhere. So that's almost like a strategic set of activities that we need to do. And in parallel, you will need to run that experimentation and then the foundational capability build, like we talked about with data, with risk and governance, putting in place the structures that will help you confidently scale this into the world. I think it's important to keep all those tracks going in parallel. And most importantly, start with the value. Where is the biggest value for your business, and build that value roadmap and track. Otherwise, it's gonna be hard to win the commitment and excitement and engagement of your people, which is also really important.
What can leaders do to alleviate these issues?
Well, I think as leaders, we have this great opportunity now to help our workforce use the technology we have to augment and automate some of those tasks that we end up doing that are not that value adding. For example, if we're thinking about AI automating some of the mundane, like taking notes and writing summaries or updating stakeholders, we can automate that and release some of that time. And then also there's some tasks that are taking a lot of time, but maybe are not that value adding or engaging, like reviewing reports or reviewing proposals, taking a lot of time. We can use AI to augment ourselves to do that. And what that means is, when we're augmenting and automating work, we're releasing capacity that we can use for creative work, the value-adding work. And research shows that most people spend a lot of time on these value-adding tasks. Another research actually said 58% of our day is spent on this busy work about work. Whereas we are happiest, most engaged and focused when we're in a state of flow. So I think we have this great opportunity as leaders to help our workforce find more time for flow, find more time for creativity, and get rid of this back-to-back crazy working day that we've been adopting through the COVID years.
And aren't there some human qualities that are critical, even in this world of AI? Could you talk a little bit
I'm
more
really
about
glad you
that?
brought that up, actually, because one of the pieces of research or paper that we brought out, which I found really inspiring myself, was based on the idea that skills will come and go. We can reskill and retrain people, but technology, as it keeps evolving and moving, will sometimes take those skills and then we need to do it again. Whereas there are a set of enduring human qualities and capabilities that transcend. Things like curiosity, creativity, empathy, resilience, critical thinking, social and emotional intelligence. And there's a really cool example in that paper from Toyota. The way that they are onboarding some of their workers to the factories, instead of training them how to use the machinery in the factory setting, they're actually getting them to, with their own hands, build some of the machine from scratch, which is slower and definitely not as efficient as it could be. And that's not because they're going back on automation. It's because that teaches and amplifies those human qualities, those human capabilities to explore, to be curious, to investigate, to experiment, to learn how materials work together. And they believe that building and continuously building those muscles are going to help us be more creative in the future and have those human qualities more enduring, as skills will come and go. So I think that's really inspiring. I would recommend reading that paper too.
Yeah, absolutely, will do. Heidi, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you.
And to viewers at home, our time together has come to an end, but thank you for engaging with us for our Agents of Change series. We hope we've given you food for thought on the future of AI for your people, processes, and technology. Thanks again, and bye for now.